What is the best time to trade? The time you trade is very important. Just like any other thing that you do, you can do certain things which are bad at the right time and you'll be saved. But there are certain things that you do which are good, but because you did it at a bad time, you get into trouble. And that's the same with trading. If you're trading at the right time, you can be making certain mistakes and you'll still be saved. So let's get onto the chart and I'll tell you the best time to trade.
All right, so what is the best time to trade? The best time to trade would be dependent on what you are trading, right? What are you trading? So are you trading Forex, or you're trading indices, or you're trading metals like gold, right? So what are you trading? That's the first thing. And when are you available? Because if the best time to trade, if I tell you the best time to trade is 7 a.m. and you are working at that time, does it mean you can't trade? No. So when are you available, and why do you need to trade at a very specific time? So why is this important? Why do you need to trade at a very specific time? Okay, so the market moves with volume. So volume means quantity, how much. So this is small, this is big. So volume of trades. So if there is more trades equals high volatility, more trades or more volume. Volatility is how much changes is happening in the currency you are trading. So if you have a currency at 0.1321, how fast does it change from 0.1321 to say 0.1300? That is volatility. Because when you are trading the changes that is happening. So if there is no changes happening, you will not make money. So more volume means more volatility, and more volatility means there is a potential for you to make money. You have the potential to make money in your pockets. Okay, so you need volatility. Low volatility means when there is low volatility, there is low volume, and the amount of money you can potentially make is low. So that is the general idea. You want to be trading when there is more volatility in the market, and when there is more volatility in the market, it means there is more volume, and that's when there will be changes in the market for you to make money. There are certain times that the market is very slow, and when the market is slow, it means volatility is low and the amount of money you can make is also slow. You don't want to be trading around this time. Okay, so why is this like this? For you to understand this, you need to understand the market sessions. So there are 6 main market sessions. So I'm kind of combining multiple sections here, but if there is an aspect of this video that you want me to go in depth, I'll do that. But I'll just breathe this just a little bit. And if you want more explanation into any other aspect of this, I'll do that. So the first session here is the New Zealand session. So this is the NZD session, the Australian dollar session, or the Aussie session. And we have the Asian session, which is the Japanese yen. We have the Frankfurt session, which is the Swiss franc, and the London session, which is the Euro or Europe. And then we have New York session, which is the USD session. Okay, so what is this? These sessions are where the banks open. Bank. So when you're trading currency, we are trading money. Okay, we are trading money, which is the bank. So who is responsible for checking how much money is in your account, how much money you are sending to this person? Is the bank. So here we are talking about the central banks. So in your country, like if you're in Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria is responsible for anything that has to do with the Naira. The Bank of Ghana is responsible for anything that has to do with the cedi. Okay. So these central banks are the ones checking what is happening in their currency. And as you know, these are the major currencies we trade. Okay. So because these countries are situated at different parts of the world, the time that they open is different. So the time New Zealand bank, Australian bank, the Asian banks, Switzerland banks in Europe, and the bank in the US opens are different. So currently it is 11 p.m. in Canada, but it is 4 a.m. in Nigeria now. So it's different. So by the time the Central Bank of Nigeria is open, I'm still sleeping. So it means the bank in Canada would be closed. So when the New Zealand session opens, so I'm going to use Ghana times here because I was trading in Ghana for a very long time, and it's this session here, or the bank in New Zealand opens at 9 p.m. in Ghana. The bank in Australia opens at 10 p.m. in Ghana. We have the bank in Japan, which is 1 a.m. for the Asian session, 1 a.m. And this is all Ghana time. And we have the Swiss franc 6 a.m. So if you're in Nigeria, it will be an extra 1 hour. Euro, which is the London session, is 7 a.m. and the New York session is 12 p.m. And each of these banks open for 8 hours. So this bank in New Zealand opens at 9 p.m. So this opens at 5 a.m. Closes at 5 p.m. Sorry. And this will close at 6 a.m. This will close at 9 a.m. This will close at 2 p.m. and this euro will close at 3 p.m. and the New York session will close at 8 p.m. and there is a 1 hour interval between when it opens and then that is where swaps are collected, and 9 p.m. this bank opens. So it's like that. So on Sunday night, when the market opens on Sunday night, it is 9 p.m. in New Zealand, and then it runs all the way to Friday 8 p.m. and then it closes, right? So this is very important, very, very important. But what you need to take note of is that these sessions, every three, so in general, everything above here, the first three sessions, New Zealand, Australia, Japanese yen, is most people refer to all this as the Asia session, okay, Asia session. And then we have the Frankfurt session, London session, and then New York session. So this market here, so I'm going to use stars to represent how fast or slow these sessions are. So I'll use stars to tell you how much slow this market is. So instead of how fast or the volume that is available in the market, I'm going to give this 1 star. I'll give this 2 star, 3 star. I'll give this 5 stars. I'll give this 7 stars, and I'll give the New York session 10 stars. So this is how fast the market is. Okay, so at 9 p.m. it is only the Bank of New Zealand that is open. Okay, so the money that is coming in the market is only money that is being processed by the banks in New Zealand. Okay, but at 10 p.m. now there are 2 banks open. So 10 p.m. the banks in New Zealand are still open at 9 and they'll close at 5, so they are still active. So it is from 9 at 10 p.m. we now have 2 banks. So there is more money that has been added to the market from the banks in Australia. Okay, and then at 1 a.m. because this session closes at 5 a.m. there is still more money here. Money from New Zealand, money from Australia coming together, and we have more money coming in. And there's also a lot of money coming from this session because this is Asia, and all the transactions in gold and all that in Japan all happens during this period. So there's a lot of volume coming in, but it is still slow compared to the money that is coming here. If you are rating it by the number of stars, you can see this is just small stars. So in general, you want to stay away from this session here, but we'll come back again depending on what you are trading or your availability. You might be interested in this session. Okay, so the next session is the Frankfurt session at 6 a.m. This is where the Swiss franc is active. So if you're interested in trading NZD CHF, anything involving the CHF, this is the time you'll be looking at, and there is a lot of volume, and that is also 1 hour before the London session. And this also presents with what we call fake outs. I might cover this session later, explaining in depth. Fake outs happen, and that's when the London session opens 1 hour later. And if you understand the fake outs here, you can easily trade the London breakouts, right? So if you are interested in learning more about this fake outs and how it works, drop your comments in the comment section under this video, and if there are a lot of comments, people interested in this, I would make a video and explain more into details. And the London session start at 7 a.m. and the OG, which is the New York session, opens at 12 p.m. Okay, so at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that it depends on what you are trading. So based on the currency you are trading, you would know the best time for you to trade. But in general, the best time for you to trade, if you are just looking to trade without looking at the currency you are trading, the best time for you to trade is any of these 3 sessions here, which means if you're in Ghana and you want to trade, if you wake up at 6 a.m., between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. is a good time to trade, because when we are awake, that is when the market is also active. Here it is different. The 6 a.m. here is 2:30 a.m. here, which is very late in the night. So by the time I am awake in the daytime, it is like almost New York session already. It's almost New York session, which is a little tricky and make things a little different. So if you're in Nigeria or Ghana and you're trading, you are very blessed. Okay, so in general, if you want to choose which session you want to trade, you want to be trading between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. right? But then if you are interested in trading a very specific kind of currency, then you might be interested in trading certain other times. And like I said earlier, it also depends on your availability. Okay, so if you're not available during this time, you should be able to find something that suits your availability. Okay, so apart from trading between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., another best time for you to trade. So like I said, this is all in Ghana time. So wherever you are, just put it in Google. What is 9 p.m. Ghana time in your country? And then you can find these very specific times and it will be related. But if you're in Nigeria, just add 1 hour to it, right? If you're in any part of the world, you can just put in 9 p.m. in Ghana is equal to what in my country, and then you can rewrite this in a way that makes sense to you, right? And you can set alarms on repeat that tells you, hey, this is landing session, hey, this is this time, so that it always keeps you reminded. And if you join my Telegram, I already have this coded, and you get reminded every session. And I also have it with the news, every news event, 15 minutes before the news, you get to know when the news is coming. And you can find the Telegram, the link to the Telegram in this video or in the bio of any of my social media. You can join the Telegram if you're interested. And the next session, apart from between this, like I said, is the overlap session. You are interested in the overlap session. What is the overlap? Where there is a combination of two sessions, or two sessions are overlapping. So there's an overlap session here. So this session opens at 9 p.m. here, right? And this session opens at 10 p.m. So from 10, and this session closes at 5. So this opens at 9, this opens at 10. And this closes at 5, okay? And this closes at 6. So between 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., there's an overlap between the New Zealand session and then the Australian session. And then from 1 a.m., so 1 a.m., the Japanese session also comes into the market. So from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., there's an overlap between the New Zealand session, the Australian session, and the Japanese session. I hope it makes sense. And then because at 5 a.m., the New Zealand session is closed, okay? The New Zealand session is closed at 5 a.m. So between 5 and 6, it's only the overlap between the Japanese yen and then the Australian dollar. So the overlap session are very important. So even though the New York session has the highest volume, the actual highest volume in the market is where there is an overlap between the Europe session or the London session and then the New York session. So because the New York session is opening at 12 p.m. and the London session is ending at 3 p.m. The overlap session that happens between the New York is between 3 p.m. and 12 p.m. So in Nigeria, it will be 1 p.m. and then 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Those are the hot zones. So the fastest or the highest volume you would ever get in the market is between these hours, because these are the two highest trading volume. So which means if you want the very best time to trade anything at all, it will be between these, because that's where the highest volume is. But depending on the currency you are trading, then you want to be specific. So for instance, if you're trading something like GBP USD, so you have the pound. The pound is in the European session and the USD is within the New York session. So you can trade the pound within the London session, and you can trade the USD in the USD session. So in general, as from 7 a.m. you can start trading GU. But if you want the best time to trade GU, it is the overlap session, which is between 12 p.m. Ghana time and 3 p.m. or 1 p.m. Nigerian time and 4 p.m. That is the best time for you to trade GU, because that's where the two currencies are both active at the same time. Okay, so then let's say you're interested in EU will also be the same thing. The best time for you to trade EU would be 12 p.m. Ghana time and then 3 p.m. Ghana time. If you're interested in trading gold XAU, the best time for you to trade gold is the New York session, which is from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the best time to trade gold. What if you're interested in trading something like AUD USD? So the AUD session is right here in the Asian session or the Australian session, and the USD session is down here. So there is no overlap between the Australian dollar and the US dollar. So the best time for you to trade this is just in the New York session, because this is one of the currencies is active during the New York session, and that's where we have the highest volume. But which means that you can also trade AUD USD within the Australian session, which is between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. But if you're choosing between the two, this is the very best time for you to trade. Why will you trade in this time when it is slow than this? So just save yourself the time and trade here. But if you're interested in trading something like AUD NZD, right? What do you think is the best time to trade AUD NZD? So pause the video and then try and figure it out. Right. So if you guess this right, the best time to trade this would be the overlap between the Australian session and the New Zealand session, which is between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. would be the best time for you to trade with Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. And also, another best time for you to trade this would be the New York session or the London session, because none of these pairs are within here, but Europe and US does business with almost any other country. So because these sessions are the highest trading volume, you can also trade AUD and ZD within this session. But another session that you can also trade it is from the overlap, which is 10 p.m. Ghana time and 5 a.m. right? So for instance, if you're a teacher or somebody who is not available to trade during this time, then you can be trading something like AUD and ZD and then trade within this session. What if you are someone that is interested in trading something like GJ, GBP, JPY? So if you're interested in GBP, JPY, then the first thing comes to your mind is, what is the overlap session? The overlap between pound and the Japanese yen is what? So the pound is also in the London session, which is the Europe session, which starts at 7 a.m. and the Japanese session ends at what? 9 a.m. So the one of the hottest zone to trade GJ would be between 7 a.m. Ghana time and 9 a.m. Ghana time, which is the overlap between the London session and then the Japanese session. Okay, some people will refer to this session as the Tokyo session, but it's the same thing, right? And another best time for you to trade this is within the London session, because we have the pound here. And another best session to trade this would be within the New York session, because again, the New York session is a session to trade any pair, which means that if you are interested in a pair that you can trade most times, GJ is one of them, because you can trade GJ during the Japanese session, you can trade it within the London session, and you can also trade it within the New York session. So if you're looking for one pair to trade that you can trade most times, then GJ would be something I recommend it to you, because you can trade it within the Japanese session, you can trade it within the London session, and you can trade it within the New York session. So we can go on and on and on. So in the comment section, comment your favorite pair and then tell me what you think is the best times for you to trade it. I'll check everything. And if you have any further questions, you can reach out to me on my social media and we can further discuss it. And I guess you learned something from this. And like I said, the time you trade is very important. You can do something wrong at the right time and get away with it. But if you do the wrong thing at the wrong time, most of the time you don't get away with it. So I'll come up with a part 2 for this video too, because this is a very important and yet complex topic, and we would further break this down. So see you in the next video.